We all know that the main authority in the creation of a movie is the director, and you will probably think that a director only sits in a chair, tells people what to do, and complains about everything. But the role of a director in a movie is much more important because he takes the control of a movie and guides it to success or failure. The director makes the choices that make a movie. For example, they can give the director a script, but he can interpret it in many ways. He also puts his touch into the movies. Each director has its own characteristic things on movies. For example, Michael Bay with explosions. All directors are different, even with the same movies.
A film director is someone who is in charge of making sure that every component of a movie runs smoothly. Generally, these directors work on a movie from its conception stage to its delivery stage. They have a say in how scenes unfold, what props are going to be used, how the characters should look, and who should play specific parts. Directors also work with individuals in charge of lighting, scenery, writing, and so forth. They make sure that all the elements come together. The director is in charge of the three main phases, which are pre-production, production, and post-production.
Something worth remembering is the difference between director and producer. The director controls a film's artistic and dramatic aspects and visualizes the script while guiding the technical crew and actors in the fulfillment of that vision. And the producer initiates, coordinates, supervises, and controls matters such as rising funding, hiring key personnel, and arranging for distributors.
The history of film directing has evolved so much through a little more than a century. Since photography was first invented, people tried to find a way to create the illusion that images moved, and as that happened, new devices came out which allowed moving images like kinetoscope and kinetograph.
The Lumiere brothers were the first to practically direct a film since they pretty much recorded it and presented it to the public. George Méliès was the first to add fantasy to a movie by giving the audience the illusion of space travel and trip to the moon. From there, film directing kept evolving. As World War II started, Hollywood started getting popularity. By World War II, the way of directing changed as the need for propaganda and psychological tools kept rising all over the world. In the post-war years, we saw directors experimenting with new genres, ways of directing that allowed them to give their own touch to movies. We had the first hits by directors like Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, among so many others. We saw the technological advances which allow directors to improve their movies by adding sound and coordinating it with what was being played. Also, we saw special effects, and nowadays we have movies that are pretty much based on CGI work.
Some renowned directors that are worth knowing about are Alfred Hitchcock, an English director whose work was based in thriller and suspense. Also, Steven Spielberg, considered one of the best cinema directors, a really influential person in the cinema and one of the main figures of Universal Studios. Charlie Chaplin, who was a writer, actor, and director. Guillermo del Toro, a Mexican director whose work is categorized as science fiction, fairy tale, suspense, and action.